And we think of frogs as these, you know, lovely sort of, frogs don't bite us, so we think they're nice, but they are predators. A frog would have no problem getting a rosy red minnow in and getting it down. Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and what I want to do today is talk about the risks of keeping rosy red minnows in a small pond. So I got a small, what they call natural pond that I made this spring. And I mean, when it started off, I used just a shovel and a hole. I dug a hole about 5 feet deep and sort of flared off the edges, and it just naturally fills up with water here. If the water gets low, I might top it up with the hose. We have well water here. And I put over a dozen rosy red minnows in this pond back in May. And, you know, I would check in from time to time, and they were doing fine. The last few weeks, because we haven't had a lot of rain, the water level dropped considerably. And the first time it dropped, I filled it back up. And then this time I just decided the water was very clear, so I thought I'd let it go down a bit just so I could spot the minnows, because I have not seen them in over a month. And I just assumed, because, you know, the water, prior to that, the water was, you know, deep enough. Once you get down about past 12 inches, the water's kind of darker down there, so I thought they must just be down in the cool water. I made a sort of deep hole, right, so there was always a nice cool place down here. Anyway, today the water it's about a foot deep at the deepest, and I can see everything. And you can't really see because of the lighting and reflection and stuff like that, but I can see everything in this pond. And I mean, this pond, when it's full, holds about 2 bathtubs full of water at its sort of a really good rain. That's about how much water it goes to. Okay, right now it would have the volume of a large aquarium, which is certainly enough water for rosy red minnows. I come out in my garden almost every day, and I always take a peek at the pond. I've not seen one floater in the pond the whole time, right? When I first put the minnows in, one of them died instantly. Other than that, there hasn't been any dead minnows. What I've noticed over the course of the summer is an increasing number of frogs. There's at least, I can see 2, I think there's probably a third in here too, because I saw it take off when I first came. But there's 2 frogs in the pond. I've seen as many as 4 frogs in the pond, just your ordinary green garden frog, which we all think of as a good thing and is beneficial and a welcome sight in a garden. But I think those frogs killed my minnows. Now, I got another pond that I have goldfish in that I've put rosy red minnows in, and they always disappear in a month or so. I've always assumed the goldfish were killing the rosy red minnows, and I'm pretty sure that's the case. With the second pond, I thought, well, I'll just put rosy red minnows in, because rosy red minnows are different than goldfish. They're very active. They're kind of a lovely little thing. They're all gone. I think the frogs ate my rosy red minnows. I mean, it's possible that the minnows died one by one, floated up to the surface, and the frogs ate the dead minnows. But boy, I would have thought I would have seen at least one, right? I mean, there's going to be some people that are new to my channel that think, well, you've got no air pump, you got no this, you got no that, the fish are just dying. I've got another pond I've had goldfish in for 4 years. It's the same kind of pond. It's just a bigger version of this. And, you know, fish don't have any air. They die pretty quick. It doesn't take them months and months and months to die. If there's not enough air, they die, right? Every time it rains, the water gets every time it rains here, the water gets oxygenated, right? The water comes from the side, from the ground. I've got a little pump there that circulates the water a little bit. It's just a solar pump modified to push the water up, and it's almost like a fountain, and it trickles back down into the pond, right? So the water here is not, and there's plenty of, I've got, what's it called, hornwort. It's kind of like, it's an aquatic plant that behaves like a seaweed, I guess, which grows in the water, doing a lot of good to sort of clean the water. So I've got good, clean, healthy water. Look at these cattails growing out of there. It's a healthy, natural pond. I do not think the fish died for lack of oxygen or because of toxicity. I think I've got everything right here. I mean, if it was a crappy toxic pond, I don't see there just couldn't see there being the amount of life drawn to it, right? You know, like frogs are here all the time, right? I've seen garter snakes in here. There's water skippers, boatmen, water hoppers, just everything short of ducks has been in this pond. Also I noticed the water's getting clearer and clearer, more sign that there isn't fish moving around stirring it up. Could be anyway. So anyway, just you know, a word of caution to anyone that wants to have a pond and wants to use rosy red minnows as the main inhabitants of the pond. You got to have some kind of fish in the pond, because the fish eat the mosquito larvae and horsefly, you know, various flies that, you know, pest flies that, you know, drop their eggs in water like this. You got to have a fish in there to eat those eggs, right? Or eat the larvae, right? When the eggs hatch and they become larval, the fish just run around and feast on them. Right, I got another goldfish pond. I'll show you this in a minute. It's got, you know, good size. Almost, some of my goldfish are 6 inches tip to tip. And I mean, they went in as 2-inch long feeder goldfish. Never been fed, never been looked after, just left in a hole in the ground. And they survive off of mosquito larvae, algae, and whatever else they can find, right? They're basically wild fish living in a pond. And the rosy reds were doing the same thing here. But they're all gone. As far as I can, I mean, I suppose they could be hiding, but I've been checking every day this week. I haven't seen any sign of them. And with the water this clear and this low, there should be sign. So I think these frogs ate them. I've done a little bit of reading, and as far as I can tell, frogs do eat minnows when they can, when they're in just the right situation where they can catch them. And I think this is that situation. And we think of frogs as these, you know, lovely sort of, because they don't bite us, they don't attack us. Like, you know, we don't like snakes because they bite us. Frogs don't bite us, so we think they're nice. But they are predators, right? They kill stuff and eat it. And I can't see a frog. And, you know, the rosy red minnow is so small, and the frog is such a, I mean, the frog is almost all, it's like a giant mouth and a giant stomach with just enough arms and legs to move it around. Think about a frog, right? Would have no problem getting, I mean, the biggest a rosy red minnow can get is 2 inches long, and that's from tip to tip, right? Most of that's just a little bit of fin sort of thing. Half of that's fin sort of thing, right? So a frog would have no problem getting a rosy red minnow in and getting it down. And there's also larger frogs that frequent this pond. I mean, the ones that are in here today are relatively small frogs, but there's much larger ones that frequent the pond. All different sizes, right? I'm not saying they're not bullfrogs, but I've seen frogs that are sort of like 3-4 inches from front to back in here, sort of thing, right? So, yeah, I think that's what happened to the rosy reds. So, yeah, I think the solution is to have a bigger pond with more water so that the fish can get away from the frogs, right? This is kind of like, to use the old boxing analogy, fighting in a phone book, fighting in a phone booth. You know, whenever you have like an aggressive boxer like a Joe Frazier fighting a defensive boxer like an Ali, the defensive boxer wants a big ring and the offensive boxer wants the small ring. And then the analogy is a phone booth. So basically, by having a small pond here, I turned the situation into a fight in a phone booth where it favored the predator and not the prey. Not a lot of places to get away to. So I am going to, I mean, some of my viewers aren't happy about this, but I'm going to fill this in and put a different pond in a different location and make it much bigger. Even though this, I mean, basically I went from a hole in the ground to a kind of very sort of healthy looking little ecosystem, but it's not big enough to support goldfish, and it's too small to consistently offer smaller fish like rosy reds good places to escape. I mean, there could be, maybe it's the case that they're hiding because the frogs are here. But yeah, I've been out here every day really looking to see them, and I have not seen them. It's possible they're in there, but I don't think so. I think the frogs ate them all. Anyway, just a little bit of a pondering on natural ponds. You know, this is, you know, there's lots of different content out there on ponds, but I find so much of the content is about gear and spending money and equipment and all this sort of stuff. And if you keep it simple, all you got to do is stick a hole in the ground, preferably somewhere that water naturally runs to, and put some fish in it, get some aquatic plants in there, and that's all you need to have a pond. But size can matter. If you've got things in there trying to kill your fish, you're going to make it deeper and bigger so they can get away. I hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching. Hey folks, guess what? I've started a newsletter at maritimegardening.substack.com. I'll be putting out one article a week. That's 52 articles a year. The articles expand on ideas that I mention on my videos and podcasts, and every article has a read aloud option, so you can just listen to me read it if you're busy doing something else. You can subscribe for $30 a year or try it for $5 a month and see what you think. It's a great way to help support everything I'm doing here. But hey, there's also free content too, so if you just want to read the free stuff, that's fine too. As always, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.